Happy holidays, everybody. This is my first tutorial, so bear with me. We are working in Genesis 3:15, the big picture devotional from By the Well for God. It actually came out in 2022. However, I was not able to Bible journal it at the time or read it because I was in grad school. And now that I graduated, we are going to do some holiday Bible journaling. So on screen here, I'm just using Art Basics Clear Gesso to gesso this page. The other side is already journaled. So I'm just using a Mod Podge brush and clear Art Basics Gesso. You want to stick around to the end because we're going to do a Christmas giveaway, and I'd like to get it out to United States folks only. Sorry if you're watching from another international. I've got some fun stuff. I'm going to do a second layer of gesso on this page as well because the medium that I'm going to be working with will bleed through. I'm just getting cat hair off my page. I do have a kitty cat who likes to get up on my crafting desk, which is like an old letter desk. So I'm just drying with my Ranger heat tool in between the gesso layers. I need this page good and dry because of the medium that I'm going to be working with, which reacts with water. So I am now doing the second layer of Art Basics Clear Gesso, particularly over the margin where I Bible journaled on the back side. You want to do 2 layers of gesso, especially if you're working with a medium that bleeds through, and if you have the other side journaled, because you don't want bleed through if you can help it, which I will show you the back side after I use the medium. So I'm just concentrating on the margin because that's where I Bible journaled on the other side. I love that little collage brush from Mod Podge. They came in a pack. No, I'm sorry. I think this one actually came individually. But I love that for gesso. It works really, really well. Just getting that cat hair off my page before I dry it again. Just drying it with my heat tool. I need this page really, really good and dry because we're going to be doing some stamping and embossing. And then again, the medium that I'm going to color the page with does react with water. So I need it stark dry as I can get it. If you're going to be working with a medium that reacts with water, or you have journaling on the opposite page, the back side of the page, you definitely want to do 2 layers of gesso, if not 3, depending on the medium that you're working with. Otherwise, you are going to get bleed through on the back side. Now I'm just taking a baby wipe, cleaning off my Bible mat from Day Spring. Love baby wipes. I keep them in my craft room. You're going to see me use them a lot. I clean as I go. My mama taught me when cooking, always clean as you go. So I'm type A. I do clean as I go. You're going to see me clean. I'm going to show you some tricks on how to clean. I apologize if I'm kind of breathing heavy in this voiceover. I am sick with some sort of upper respiratory thing. So now I've got my splat box from Ranger. And I have Distress Oxide spray in saltwater taffy. This will bleed through. It's dye and pigment ink combined, which is why I gessoed that page twice. A lot of Bible journalists don't like to use sprays in their Bibles because they do bleed through, especially the distress stains. Those for sure bleed through. It even bleeds through cardstock. But I'm risking it. I was going to use my Distress Oxide ink and saltwater taffy, but I decided against it, and that's because I have texture paste on the opposite side of the Bible page, and it would look kind of spotty because of that texture paste. So I'm just taking a paper towel over top of it, picking up any extra spray, because I kind of want a light pink background. That phone cord drove me nuts throughout this entire recording. I've got to get a new phone cord. You're going to see me just fight with that. So now I'm just taking a baby wipe, because it does react with water, wiping up the Bible mat underneath where I got some overspray from spraying the page. Again, I clean as I go. And I'm just drying it with my heat tool. I want it good and dry. It does react with water, and I'm going to be doing some stamping after this, so I need it, again, good and dry. We are going to add, after I dry it, some Distress Spritz, which has mica in it to make it shimmery. So now I've got my Distress Spritz in saltwater taffy. You do need to shake that up really, really, really well. You want all the mica off the bottom, so you're going to see me check it a few times to make sure I've got that mica good and mixed. I am filming this and recording it in real time, so you can see how long it takes to get that good and mixed. So now I'm putting my Bible mat back to protect my Bible as I am getting ready to spray this Distress Spritz in saltwater taffy. So I'm just spraying the spritz on the page. It gives it a beautiful shimmer, especially for the holidays. I love anything that sparkles, shimmers. Just clean up with a baby wipe. Does react with water. So now I'm just drying that with my heat tool. I need it good and stark dry because I'm going to be doing some stamping and embossing, and I don't want the embossing powder to stick to anything that's wet. Now, when you're drying with a heat tool and you have a plastic Bible mat underneath, you want to kind of lift up the page. Because it's plastic, it can melt, and you want to move your heat tool consistently across the page. That way you're not getting just a concentrated blast of heat, because that Bible mat can melt. So now you can see as I'm going to move this Bible over and it hits the light, that mica is just so pretty. It shimmers on the page. So I'm just showing you the back side. There's no bleed through. There's a little bit of ghosting on the edge, but there's no bleed through. And that's why I gessoed it twice, to protect that back side that I had already journaled. So this stamp is from By the Wall for God. It came out with one of their Christmas kits a few years ago. Gifts of Love. I'm going to be stamping with that. But before that, I need to prep the page with my EK Success powder tool at the top, where I'm going to be stamping and embossing. I don't want the embossing powder to stick to any of that mica or any of that Distress Oxide spray. So that's why I'm prepping it with a powder tool. So I'm getting out the banner of Christmas light bulbs. I think it's so cute. And I'm going to put that at the top of the page. It's real important when you're stamping that you use a stamp block that fits your stamp if you want a good impression. This is the biggest stamp block that I have, and that is from We Are Memory Keepers. And I'm just lining that up. Now I am dirtying up the stamp. If you want the ink to have something to grab onto, you want to dirty up a clean, brand new stamp. I'm just using a Faber-Castell eraser to kind of dirty up that stamp. You also can rub it on your arm, kind of get some of your skin and oil on it as well. So that is a deli wax paper sheet. I use that to collect all my embossing powders, glazes, glitter, and they come in like a pack of 500 from Amazon. They're pre-cut. I love them. They work well to collect anything like glitter or embossing glaze. So I'm going to attempt to use my Versamark embossing ink pad here, but then I realized that it's kind of dry. I've had it for a few years. I need to get another one. It's not really giving me a good inking of that stamp, so I'm going to switch, you're going to see, to my Distress inking pad. One of the great things about Distress is you can actually refill the embossing ink on this pad, which I have a little bottle of refiller. It also comes in a dabber. It also comes in pens. I just love Distress and Ranger. Just the quality of their products is amazing. So now I'm going to stamp this Christmas light stamp at the top of my page. You're going to see this impression was not perfect. I'm going to show you 2 ways to fix that. I think it was because I had texture paste on the back side of the page. I'm not sure. Or because it's right in the beginning of the Bible, so I didn't have enough. It is really difficult to emboss in your Bible. You're going to see me struggle with it. So now I'm just taking that rose gold embossing powder from Ranger, and I am sprinkling over the top of that impression. I need to emboss these because I'm going to be coloring them in, so I want lines where the light bulbs are. And I'm going to be using some glossy accents to make them shine and really look like light bulbs. Just getting the cat hair out of my embossing powder. And now I'm just dumping it on that deli wax paper. And it kind of is a hot mess, goes everywhere. But that's the thing about embossing powder or glitter. Those cords on this charging cable drove me absolutely bonkers. I'm definitely going to be switching out my cord. You're going to see me just holding it and messing around with that cord, which is plugged into my cell phone, which is in that holder that you're seeing, that white holder right above me. So now I'm taking a Faber-Castell brush. It's a real soft brush with an angle, and I'm just brushing off any embossing powder where I don't want it. So I've got some on my Bible mat. I'm getting that off. And I'm going to brush around this impression. It was not a perfect impression, but we're going to fix it. I'm going to show you how to do that. Here, there's 2 ways to fix it. We're going to use both ways because it was kind of a hot mess. I love those little Faber-Castell brushes. I have a few. They come in the gelato packs, and I just love them. I absolutely love these little Faber-Castell brushes. I use them. I have them in a holder on my craft desk. So you're just seeing me brush around my stamping, getting off any little flakes of embossing powder where I do not want it to be with that little Faber-Castell brush. So now we're going to re-ink this stamp up to stamp it the rest to continue the Christmas lights across the page. One thing about embossing is you don't have to emboss right away. So I haven't embossed the first line yet. You do need to get your embossing powder on there though, before your embossing ink dries, but you don't have to emboss right away. So I'm going to go ahead and re-stamp this to continue the Christmas lights across the top of the page. I'm just re-inking it with the Distress Embossing ink, just half of it, the side that I need to match it up. So now I'm just re-stamping it, lining it up. Those cords again drove me nuts. Hanging down from my phone. When you are on the edge of your stamps, I try to pay special attention to the edges of my stamps because they have a tendency not to be pressed as heavy and get good pressure. So I take my thumb and I really press the edges down on my stamps, which is what you're seeing me do here. So now I'm just going to take that rose gold embossing powder and I'm going to sprinkle it over the rest of that I just stamped. You can see the wax paper is so nice. Just slides right off there. Now what you're going to see me do here, do not do this. I took my brush right in there and I was not thinking I should have tapped it off first because I did kind of brush off the end of my impression there with my brush. It's okay, we're going to fix it with an embossing pen, but yeah, don't do that. Dump it off first and then go in with your brush. But I'm not perfect. I'm showing you my mistakes. I'm showing you how to fix them as well. And that's the whole point of this, is so that you learn, and we're just having fun in the Word. I am a messy crafter. So now I'm reaching for my Distress bullet point embossing pen. We're going to fix the end of this Christmas light stamping. I'm just going to eyeball it the best of my ability and go in. It does come with a brush tip as well, but I need it kind of small and fine, detailed here. So I'm just going in where the embossing powder did not stick and using my Distress bullet point embossing pen to fix the impression. So I have systemic lupus, which causes really bad arthritis in my hands. You can see they're swollen. So doing fine motor things with my hands can take me a longer time. But I enjoy crafting and journaling. I always have since I was a little girl. Even though it takes me a while. So now I'm just going to re-dump that embossing powder back over the powder that I have on my deli sheet to emboss what I have drawn with the embossing pen. This was really a struggle for me to emboss in my Bible. It's a lot easier to do on paper, but I don't know what really happened here. Normally it's not this big of a struggle. I was trying to hold those cords, and I was getting embossing powder on my tabs from other pages. I just really struggled embossing this. Normally I don't struggle this much embossing. I'm thinking maybe I should have, instead of having it, folded in half like I normally work on it, I should have opened up those pages and dumped it that way. I think it would have been easier now that I'm rewatching it, to be honest. And not dealt with those back pages in the back there. I should have just opened it up to dump that embossing powder. But you live and you learn. So after brushing it off, fiddling with it for 4 more minutes, which I cut out so you didn't have to watch me do that, I'm just taking the deli paper, dumping that embossing powder right back into its container. And I made a mess. You can see it there. I've not embossed it yet. I'm just going to set it aside. I'm going to try to get this embossing powder up. I'm going to show you how I do that. Yes, Swiffer Dusters. Works great for embossing powder, glitter, flakes. Swiffer Dusters. I keep them in my craft cart next to me. They work wonderful. Off camera, what you didn't see was I cleaned that stamp off with Ranger stamp cleaner, and the Simon Says stamp chamois. I love Ranger stamp cleaner. It works great. It smells like bubblegum too. So this is a little handheld vacuum. I don't know the brand of it. Actually, yeah, I do. It's EYYA. I don't know how to say that. EYYA. Anyways, I got it on Amazon. I love it. I'm just getting up all that embossing powder because once I get out my heat tool, I don't want it sticking to my desk. It's going to emboss all that powder wherever I've got it. So now I'm taking my heat gun and I am embossing this finally after messing with it for about 20 minutes. I don't know what brand heat gun this is, but I did get it off of Amazon. To emboss or glaze things, a heat gun works a lot better than the Ranger heat tool. You can use the Ranger heat tool. I had for years. And then once I got the embossing glazes, I bought a heat tool, and it does work better for embossing for sure. Just be careful with it because it does get much hotter than the Ranger heat tool. So I got out my Neocolor 2 crayons in crimson, moss green, pink, and indigo blue and aubergine. And I'm just alternating coloring in those Christmas lights. And it takes me forever because of my hands. Again, those fine motor things. I don't use my Neocolor 2's crayons enough. I think it's because of where I have them in my office. But they react with water. They are very vibrant. They're beautiful. I just don't use them enough. I'm going to keep them out, though, this Christmas and hopefully use them more. I got them a couple years ago for Christmas, and I haven't really used them like I should. I have a ton of gelatos, too, that I don't use. But gelatos are kind of waxy, and that's why I don't like to use gelatos. So I just matched the colors with what's going to be the focal point of this page, that journaling card, Genesis 3:15. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. That's Genesis 3:15, which is what that card says. Here's a fun fact that most people don't know about me. I actually have a minor in biblical studies, so most people think of me as, the nurse. But when I was going to school, if I needed extra classes, I would take, theology, religion, biblical study classes, and I ended up with enough credits at the end to have a minor in biblical studies. So there's a fun fact that a lot of people do not know about me. I wasn't going to make you sit through there and just watch me color those in with those nail color tools. So I'm towards the end. And the good thing about embossing, which is why I did emboss, is it made lines, grooves, for me to color in so that I wouldn't go over the lines. It also is going to make a well for glossy accents. So this is the second way that I'm going to fix this. I am taking a rose gold scrapbook.com pen, and I'm just connecting anywhere that the embossing powder did not get. Mostly connecting the lines, the light strand. And you cannot tell the difference because it's the same color that I embossed with. So this is another way to fix embossing if it's not perfect. So now I'm taking my small bottle of glossy accents and we're going to go over each one of these bulbs that I've colored in. It's going to make them stand up and shiny to look like light bulbs. So I set the Bible aside to let those glossy accents dry. And now I'm going to work on glittering these snowflake die cuts from snow and cocoa crepe paper. I don't know if you can still get them. I bought them years ago. I have so much Christmas stuff I have got to purge. And that's why we're doing a giveaway, because I have duplicates of things, stuff I'm never going to use. I have got to purge. So I have out Distress Mica Flakes, Rock Candy, and Grit Paste Snowfall and glossy accents. And a new deli wax paper because I'm going to glitter these snowflakes using glossy accents as my glue and rock candy. And then I have that Faber-Castell brush that I love. One thing that I learned from Tim Holtz is if you're going to use glitter, rock candy, something shiny, use glossy accents as your glue. Now, you want to work kind of quickly with glossy accents. It doesn't take long for them to dry. So I'm going to do like half of this snowflake at a time and go ahead and glitter it. Now, Tim Holtz has some new products that I have. Hopefully, will be here by next weekend. The new Snowfall, which is Mica Flakes and the Rock Candy Glitter combined. And Twinkle texture paste, which I'm really excited to use this Christmas. So now I'm just going to clean off that glossy accents with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. You can use hand sanitizer because guess what? Hand sanitizer is rubbing alcohol. But I just have a little bottle in my craft cart of rubbing alcohol. Comes right up. Again, deli wax paper just slides, that glitter just slides right back into the container. And I just throw away the wax paper when I'm done using it. Like I said, they come in a box of like 500 sheets. Swiffer duster back out. Glitters. It's like the gift that just keeps on giving. So now I have my Tim Holtz distressing tool. And I'm going to distress this card up, giving it a little bit of texture. And also I'm going to ink the sides of it. So I'm just roughing up, distressing the edges of this journaling card that came with the kit. So now I got out my mini distress ink pad and ice spruce and my ink blending tool, and we're going to blend ink around the edges. I have a pad for every single of those mini distress ink cubes because I don't want to wash them off in between, which is so nice. They fit right on the bottom of the cube. So one thing that you want to do when you're ink blending, if you can, is move the paper as you move your hand. It gives you a more even blend when you're ink blending. So now that I got that inked, I am going to add a little Snowfall grit paste to the right hand top of this card as if snow collected there and fell on it. Before I do that, I'm just drying it really good with my heat tool because I don't want that ink. It reacts with wet and water. I don't want the ink to react that I put around the edges to the texture paste or the grit paste. So now I just have a palette knife. I'm going to take just a little bit of this Snowfall grit paste because I'm just going to put it on the top right hand corner of the journaling card. Now I'm just adding mica flakes where I put that snowfall grit paste. Now I use industrial rubber bands around all of my texture paste, and that's to protect it from air, because if it gets air in there, it's going to dry out. So now I'm going to start to assemble the page. I cut those snowflakes in half. So half of those snowflakes is going to be peeking out behind the journaling card. The other half is going to be coming off the page. And I'm trying to use my multimedia mat here. Normally it's a really good glue to work with, but for some reason it was not wanting to cooperate today. I'm not sure why. So I end up using my tape runner. Yes, I am covering up the text. If that bothers you, you can just stick everything in the margin. I have over 30 different Bibles and different translations. I do not really read from this Bible. It is just for illustrating and Bible journaling. This particular Bible I started last Christmas. It's sort of like my Christmassy illustrating Bible. I think it's from Day Spring. I have a few. I have quite a few of these big illustrating Bibles. So because the multimedia mat is not wanting to stick, I'm grabbing out my Tombow Mono Dots adhesive runner. It's my favorite tape runner. You can buy the refills for those too. It's so nice. I love the whimsical look of this kit. So last year they put out Who is the Messiah, and it was like a more vintage Victorian Dickinson kind of kit, which I absolutely loved. Hands down, I love Charles Dickens. As you can see, I have the Muppets Christmas Carol t-shirt on underneath my flannel pajamas. So I loved the vintagey look, but this is different. And it gives me an opportunity to use like pink snowflakes and things that I have in my stash. So I'm reaching for that multimedia mat again. I'm going to try it one more time to try to glue down these half snowflakes coming off the page. Again, it doesn't really work. I don't know if that's because I got like that mica spritz on the page. I'm not sure why this was not working. Or maybe I didn't have enough multimedia matte on it. I don't know, but usually that is like the glue of all glues. So I'm not sure what was going on with it, but I end up using my tape runner. So I'm holding and pressing it, and it's just not wanting to stick. So I just reached for my tape runner. So now I've taken some buffalo plaid washi tape from Tim Holtz Christmas line, put it at the bottom because I'm going to put some die cuts down here. One of them is a die cut from the kit that I fussy cut it out. The other one is a chipboard piece from that Crate Paper Snow and Cocoa line. And it's that little Christmas tree that matches the blue. So what I'm doing slightly off camera there is fussy cutting with my Tim Holtz small scissors the matching Christmas gnome die cut from the kit. So I got back out my Snowfall grit paste, and I'm going to add a little bit to the top of this chipboard tree. Okay, I'm going to say this again. That cord, we have got to do something about that cord. It is not going to work. So the chipboard pieces had adhesive on the back, but because I hadn't used them, the adhesive wasn't that good. So I just add a little bit of tape runner to the back of it to adhere it on the page. So I put some little mini foam adhesive squares on the back of that little Christmas gnome. Because the chipboard's raised, I didn't want her just flat on the page. So I'm going to prop her up with these little mini foam adhesive squares. Now my washi tape is a little wonky because it ripped when I was getting it off the roll, but that's okay because this little Christmas gnome is going to go right over that and it's going to hide that rip. And you'll not be able to tell. So I get out my thickers roller and some peppermint stripe red and pink thickers that I've had for years. And again, I just need to use my stash. So we're going to use them to spell out the title Good to Bad, which was day 2's title in the devotional. One thing about me is I can be a little type A. So when I do alpha stickers, tile alphas, thickers, I want it to be straight. So I normally always use a roller to do that. So me putting the stickers got a little cut off, but here's a look at the final page. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Head over to my Instagram if you want to enter the USA only Christmas giveaway. It's going to last until December 1st.